What's going on? So, at the risk of generalizing every dance journey ever, I'm going to say that no matter who you are, your dance journey will have twists and turns. Okay? You'll never know what it might come to. You might never know who you might meet along the path because it's an organic thing. You're just living your life, you're diving into dance, and it's taking you places. Okay? So, for my journey, part of what made my journey is that I grew up watching a show called America's Best Dance Crew. And if you watch that show, then you know how awesome it was. It was incredible. The first season, one of my favorite dance crews, was called I Am Me. And our guest today is from I Am Me. So, um, I started taking private lessons with Jaja Vankova. And what I realized immediately was the fact that she doesn't just see dance as something to train in, not even though that she does do training super well, but she is also seeing what dance can be and could be in someone's life, right? So this is a conversation where you'll find out even in her dance journey, it also took a bunch of twists and turns that she didn't expect. So if you have already discovered the fact that there are twists and turns in your dance journey, you're not alone. Okay. So enjoy this conversation that we had, and you might find some things a little more surprising than others. So you can just start off by saying like who you are and just kind of give us an intro to like where you started with everything, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
How deep do you want me to go into the introduction?
We're gonna have. I have a lot of things I'd like to talk with you about, so why don't you just super surface level?
Yeah, super service. Okay. So my name is Jaja. Jaja Vankova Armstrong, and I am originally from the Czech Republic, but I moved to USA when I was 18 years old. I actually moved first to Houston before I moved to Los Angeles. And I've been dancing. I always had an interest in dance since super young age, since I was like 5, 6 years old, and I was watching my sister do her dance performances. I loved going to her dance practices. Um, and officially, I started to visit a dance crew in my little town where I grew up when I was 10 years old. But my little town where I grew up is very, very small, about 4,000 people, and there is not a lot of education about dance at all. And so at the time, it was only 10 of us. Um, Later on, I just took a huge interest in dance. I moved to the capital city of Prague, and I visited another dance crew there, where I got more into freestyle, battling different styles, different techniques. I also did choreography. We did national competitions, and we did TV shows, and we did TV competitions. And so that was kind of the big starter for me of what are the opportunities and possibilities there with dance, and it was an introduction to a lot of things in um in a country that was developing pretty fast with the knowledge about dance. Um and then later on I moved to Houston first and I was 18. um Attended America's Business Crew. We won. I got my work visa, moved to Los Angeles, and then started heavily working in the industry in Los Angeles and traveling around the world. So that is kind of like
Surface.
the basic of the base of my journey.
Yeah.
And that's very, very short explanation of my journey, but I do street dance. I'm not technically trained. I started with numerous styles. I started with choreography, then went into hip hop, freestyle. I went into popping, locking, house dance. Then later on, I went into robot animation and crump. And I've been a movement street dance practitioner pretty much my whole life.
Sick. Um, I love that. That's the super surface level. Like you've done so much, it's crazy. But you said dance journey, and that's the whole point behind this whole
Mhm.
talk show, right? So the idea is like we're talking about a dance journey, like what mindsets do you like encounter, as well as like how do you change, how do you grow in that. Um, so how would you say that using the phrase dance journey changes how you think about dancing versus like, oh, I go to this class every week or every day, or I've taken like gone to like a dance social or whatever. Like, how do you feel like that changes the mindset of how you approach it?
I think the phrase dance journey is actually more important than what people are usually focusing, because people usually focus on the goal of what is their goal, right? But I never necessarily had an exact goal in my dance. I was more focusing on the journey of the dance and enjoying the present moment in dance, where I'm at with dance. Um, and then from the enjoyment and present and intention of the journey, goals were popping up, right?
Yeah.
And there was never like a particular thing that I never had the feeling of like I want to go on tour with this artist, or I want to travel to these and these countries to teach, or I want to be a part of a certain agency, or I want to be a part of a certain convention. I never had goals like this. It was more of a, I really want to enjoy the dance journey I'm at right now. I want to take the opportunities that aren't thrown at me and do my
Yeah.
best at, put my will and best effort in it. And then the things that are meant for me are going to come out of it naturally and organically. That's kind of how I always looked at the dance journey. Yeah.
Got it. So when you started, things just started popping up, and you took them wherever they came, essentially. So like, did you have an idea of what your dance would look like in the future when you're starting in the Czech Republic, or even when you first moved to Houston? And like, how different was it, if you had an idea about what it was, to what it is right now?
Yeah. So when I first started with dance, I knew I loved dance. Like I was like, I love this thing. I love it. I want to do it, and I want to be really good at it. And my main focus was more of a, I want to see how far I can take my body, like how great of a skill I can develop with my body. Um, and I I ne- again, like I never had necessarily a goal of teaching or traveling or working in the industry. I just knew I want to do dance. That's what I wanted to do. And so my first time, very, very first time coming to LA to actually train, I was in LA twice before I moved here.
Oh,
And it was for training. When I was 16 years old, I came with my crew to train for a month. And then when I was 17 years old, I came by myself to train for 5 weeks. And again, it was more of a, I want to come here and just train as much as possible and then see where the journey takes me. I knew that maybe someday in the future there could be a possibility that I would want to come here and live here, but I didn't know that it's going to happen so soon.
got it.
So I was somehow, I think in the back of my mind, I was somehow manifesting it. Uh, but it happened like quite unexpectedly fast.
Yeah,
That
because
I
you had been
was,
here at 17, then all of a sudden you're living here at 18. Like, that's crazy.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
And
oh no, go.
I do have to say that I do believe in the power of manifestation a lot, but it, for me it was never of like, I was never manifesting a particular goal. I was just always manifesting a progress, and I was manifesting an evolution of my dance, and I was manifesting a um I want to say great success, but the great success didn't necessarily have a particular face. It was more like I was manifesting opportunities, but it wasn't necessarily one, two, or three particular opportunities. It was just like I just love this so much. I am putting the manifestation in whatever opportunities are coming out of it. And my manifestation has been pretty strong.
Extensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so with all the things that you mentioned, and I have, while I was preparing for this conversation, and I was looking at them, like, this list goes on and on. But even with like international teaching, international like mentorship groups, and like creating nutrition for dancers and performing solo and videos and music videos and tours, and like you're still like a person. And there's
Yes.
like, like we kind of like try, maybe we don't try, but we find ourselves separating those two things, and you're like, oh yeah, she's this, robot, like that's like you're doing the things, but like you have no life outside of that. Like you're still a person inside there, right? So the first question I have is like, out of all the things, is there something that's closer to your heart specifically as Yaya? And if so, why? Like all the things that you've done.
Out of all the things, is there particular something close to my heart as Yaya besides dance?
Yeah, besides dance, like how it's kind of manifested itself into performances or teaching or nutrition or instruction or mentorship.
I um I'm not sure if this answer will make sense, but my husband always tells me that I am the most disciplined person that he has ever met. And so I believe that it's not necessarily dance. I want to say it's not necessarily dance that I'm good at, or it's not necessarily the health and nutrition that I'm good at, or it's not necessarily being a mom that I'm good at, but it's just the discipline of it. Like I put my discipline into anything, and I believe if a person has a discipline in anything, they will automatically be good at it. They will get good at it after a certain while, you know. So, and also my, if somebody asked me what would be like my motto of my life, like my quote of my life, um, the one that always pops up in my head is discipline is the highest form of self-love. And
Nice.
that is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something that's being um on my life journey, my whole life. I even recently found I found a printed paper that I wrote on a computer when I was like 11 years old. And it was like my likes and my dislikes and what I do in my spare time and stuff like that. And one of the things that I talk about there when I was 11 years old is my discipline. I talk about there, I want to be so disciplined that I will get good at anything I set my mind to. And so that's what I'm really good at. I'm not I'm not really good at dance, but I got good at dance because of the discipline. So I think that probably describes Yaya as a person more than
Was that
anything else.
was that intuitive, or do you think that came from someone? Like, was
I,
that taught to you?
yeah, I think it was intuitive, and I think, you know, sometimes people say when babies are born, they are like a blank piece of paper, but I don't think so anymore. I think that when babies are born, they will they have some blank paper there, but there are some things that are written in them naturally already. um and they will have some trait from the mother, they will have some trait from the father, they will have some traits from the caretakers, they will have some traits from the environment, but then there are some traits that is their core, and that is their personality traits, that's what is unique about them. And yes, the core personalities are going to be developing in different ways on base of the environment. Hi. um environment. um but I believe that discipline aspect might have been my core that I just was born with. Yeah.
Do you think dance is one of those things that could be intuitive?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. I believe dance is in everybody. Everybody can do it. It's free if you want it to be free. It's in every culture, every tribe, every ancestor was dancing. It's in every country around the world, and it's a movement to the music. And it's like music is everywhere, even if it just sounds, and movement is everywhere. So it is something so natural and so foundational for us as humans that it it is intuitive. I think sometimes it's just that our generation makes it something else. Now a lot of times it's dance is connected with a competition, or it's connected with I have to be good at this technique, or it's connected to um industry and being good at dance because I want to be making money with dance. But really it's in all of us. It's something that we all can do and should do.
Okay, so then in your experience, like where does this separation come between like dancer and non-dancer? Like people are like, "Oh, I'm a dancer," versus I'm not a dancer, or like in theater, I'm not sure if you've experienced this, but like with like live theater, it's like, "Well, he's not much of a dancer, but he's a mover." And I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like then we kind of like made this arbitrary word. So like in your experience, having experienced so many different kinds of people, and thinking that it can be intuitive, that is something we should do. Like, where do you think that line comes from?
I think ultimately, us humans just sometimes like to give labels to things. And so because we are so much into the dance world, it kind of became the norm saying like, "Oh, I'm a dancer," and these are just normal people, the people that don't dance. But
Right.
I ultimately, yeah, it's it's just a label that we kind of created. Also because recently I have a lot of new friends that are other families and moms with kids that are now Maya's friends, my daughter's friends as well too. And at first I was like, "Oh yeah, I have a lot of normal friends," but then I was like, "Hold on, should I be calling them normal friends?" Like they they, they just don't dance. But they're just normal people, and I'm a normal person too. So I think it's just a label, because if my normal friends are inside of a jiu-jitsu community and jiu-jitsu is all they do, then I'm a normal person to them because I'm not a jiu-jitsu person. I'm a normal
Yeah.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like the shoes on the other foot at that point. Okay. So
Yeah.
two follow-up questions. So then, like thinking of that like dichotomy that we kind of create with the labels, and I'm a normal person versus a dancer versus a jujitsu fighter, right? Um, what do you think like dancers can get from like non-dancers, or like what can you like incorporate into your dancing from like regular, again huge quotations on all this, regular life, and then how can non-dancers like incorporate dance into life in an organic way that's not like necessarily like I'm trying to be the best dancer in the world.
Yeah, I think there's layers to it. So like one layer can be with dancers, we can pull a lot of inspiration from normal life because it's honestly all connected. So what we do in normal life is going to leak into our dance. How we communicate, how we do things, our hobbies. I had a student who played baseball and she had a very unique footwork in her dance because of baseball. I had a student who played soccer and he had a really crazy fast feet and really unique footwork as well too in dance because of that. Um, I had a student who actually was a psychotherapist, and because of that, her emotional connection to dance was very deep, and like you could see the depth when she was dancing.
Oh, wow.
So, what it's all connected. So again, how we communicate with people, how we carry ourselves, how we go about our daily life, what we do is going to show in dance and is going to be our inspiration. So if you want to be more creative in dance, if you want to be more emotionally connected in dance, for example, if you want to um have a better musicality in dance, whatever it is, we need to take this, I believe we need to take the steps first in our normal life and practice it in normal life too, to leak into the dance, you know. Because an example, before I had my daughter, I was more impatient and more reckless. I was making faster decisions. I um uh didn't care much if I had a good sleep or I didn't. I was just like, it was a lot of passion, a lot of fire, a lot of like, I'm just going to do this, you know. And that was showing in my dance as well too. Especially if, for example, if in the way I was battling, I was very much like rah. That was the kind of emotion I had in battles, you know. But now that I have my daughter, my communication has to be more gentle and more patient, and I have to be a little bit softer, and I have to be more direct. So it's more patient but more direct. And I cannot just make quick decisions that I don't care of the outcome about much. I have to think about the choices, think about the decisions and everything. I have to regulate my system. I have to regulate my nervous system more, because the way I regulate my nervous system, she's gonna regulate her nervous system. And
Mm.
that showed in my dance too. So my dance is not like this anymore. My dance is more patient now. It's softer, it's more gentle. My body control is more gentle. And my style of battling is very different right now. Or it's not aggressive anymore. It's more like my nervous system is regulated kind of type of battling, you know?
Just
So
purely out of curiosity, have you ever won like a battle with that different style that you've kind of evolved into? I just
I
that not that it has anything to do with this conversation. I'm just really curious.
I have not entered a lot of battles
Okay.
since I haven't. I've been in exhibition battles where there's no winner, no loser. I've been in two. I've been in three battles that required winning or losing, and I lost all those in semifinals. So I don't think I don't think that gentle, soft era is necessarily the best way to win battles, but it's a different approach, different experience, and something different that you can showcase in battles. But I don't think it necessarily wins battles. Yeah,
But at that point, it's like super authentic because it's not coming from like a oh I'm doing this to you're like this is where I'm at in your dance journey. That's I think that's cool.
exactly. And my goal in battles was never necessarily to win. It was more of to be memorable and to be authentic of who I am. So that kind of was always my goal. So that's exactly what I've been doing this past 4 years since I have my daughter. Yeah.
So I'm not really sure if I want to use the word balance or incorporate. I'll let you decide which word you want to use. But like, how then do you balance or incorporate being like a wife, a mom, and a professional dancer? Like, how do they affect each other? But also like just having those three things, because like I've had so many experiences of people being like, well, I have to choose one or the other, and I'm like, I know like way, way, way too many people who are professional dancers that have children. And I'm like, where is this coming from? Also, on the topic of mindset, like, did it intuitively come, incorporating versus like balancing, or did that mindset develop, or was it like a moment where you're like, oh, I need to shift this, or like something shift and you realize that your mindset had changed? That was a mouthful, but
It's for me personally, it was developing and still is, but it was developing into a new identity and into the new normal. So it had to change. The way I practice had to change. The way I think about dance had to change. Um, and I would say it took me about 3 years before I was seeing the new normal, and I was like, okay, this is what it is right now, and this is where I'm going to be coming from right now. It's I don't think you have to do one or the other. I think you can do both. It's just how you do it is different, you know. So let's say I will give more particular examples. So let's say when you don't have children, you just have, it seems like you have all the time in the world. You can schedule your practice anytime, you can go to any battle, you can go to any event, you can go to any competition, any performance. You can have late night rehearsals, you can have all day rehearsals on the weekends and whatever that is that you need, right? Um but then when you have children, it becomes more particular, so you don't have long days or long late night hours into the night anymore. You have to be more particular and more picky about when you are scheduling your rehearsals, when you're scheduling your classes. How much time do I want to put into a certain thing? So for me, for example, I simply don't put as much focus into battling anymore because it's it's something that I have was experiencing a lot, so I already have the experience. Now for me, it's more just for fun, really. For me, it's more like if I wanna do battle, I will see who is the DJ, and if the DJ is good and I know they're gonna play fire music and I'm gonna enjoy myself, then I will go there. But if I know that, you know, the environment is okay, the music is gonna be okay, I'm not going to quote unquote, I'm not gonna waste my time with it because I can spend my time with my daughter, right? Um, I will be more picky about what kind of dance events I'm going to attend. I'm going to be picky in what kind of practices I'm gonna go into. I might be only practicing with the people that I feel comfortable um, to let into my space. Because again, I don't want to be wasting time with things that I can relate to, or maybe I'm uncomfortable, or maybe are not serving me anymore, right? And then, of course, obviously, like for me, what got affected a lot was the practice time. I was practicing for numerous hours every single day before, and I simply cannot do that now anymore. And so those numerous hours turned into maybe 20, 30 minutes every single day, but I try to do those 20, 30 minutes every single day. But it's all I get. And that was a hard truth for me to accept, and that's why it took me about 3 years to be like, I really only do have those 20, 30 minutes to practice. I don't have more than that nowadays, and that's okay. And now I'm okay with it, and actually those 20, 30 minutes now are more intentional for me than doing like a 2 hour practice, you know. So I am still progressing differently. And even if I'm dancing, it's more intentional because I know that I don't have as much time to dance as right now than before. Yeah.
yeah. Are there any other, like at some point you were kind of half baked, if I could use that word, like you're in the middle of the process of changing. So are there other mindsets that you have that are not fully developed, but like you've been thinking about lately that you're like that isn't necessarily like solidly developed as like how you think about dance, but it's kind of like you've been kind of mulling it over.
Yeah, and I think there was a really crazy one, and I think with this particular one, I think only women might be able to understand it when they have a baby, but there is it's a crazy hormone change, right? And so once I had my daughter, the first 6 months, I did not care about dance at all. I was like, I am finished with dancing because I don't care about anything. But it was after those 6 months has passed, I was like, okay, I care about dancing again. It was literally the hormones in the body changed so much where the mind and the body literally only cared about that small little baby that's in front of me. That's all I cared about. You know?
Yeah.
And I think this is nature. Like nature makes this on purpose because nature doesn't want you, like nature wants you to take care of the baby, and they need the care and they need that full attention. But those first 6 months after having my daughter, like I'm done dancing. I'm not gonna dance anymore. Then month
Like,
seven,
this is what I care about.
month seven, I was like, okay, yeah, I love that.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's such a open-handed position to take.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there's some I mean, some people are just young and so they're just maturity-wise they're not able to like focus on multiple things and see like the complexity that a life can have. But like
Mhm.
even some older people that I know personally, I'm like there's like more to life and other things incorporated. And so it's if you're like, hey, this thing is no longer a thing, whether it's dance or something else, I feel like there's a there's a beautiful organic nature to your life once you realize like, hey, if something moves away, that's just like a situation in my life that I've experienced. So
Mhm.
I love that. Um, I'd like to talk to you about the mentorship community that you have
Mhm.
where you are. So a lot of times we connect like name with like our dancing, right? So like if you're like, hey, I'm advertising, I'm going to be in India, right, teaching dance, or I'm going to be, in a different state teaching dance or whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm advertising myself. Like, hey,
Mhm.
I'm going to do this thing. I'm bringing you. I'm performing, or I'm, instructing, or whatever. Um, but in terms of having like a community and like a mentorship like group, that's also international. Like the dancer we're in consideration is not you. It's the people who are part of the mentorship community. So how do you
Mhm.
approach like cultivating that community when it's dancing and you're a part of it, but it's not necessarily about you or towards you? Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, RUR is a very different community, and it's sometimes it's difficult to explain because it doesn't necessarily go with what the conventional world is doing usually. Because yeah, you're right. Usually, everybody has this is the mentorship, and you are studying under me, and that's all it is. But RUR is different. I look at it more as a long term relationships with people and learning from each other. So I have personally learned so much from my students. So in a way, I'm their student as well too. And an example, I learned so much from one of my students who is also a Montessori teacher. So I learned a lot from her about the Montessori method that I do with Maya right now, and she's growing up with that method and going into a Montessori program right now as well too because of that. So a lot of times I believe mentors or teachers look at their people as well, these are my students, but again they put this label on them like this is my dance student, and it almost seems like they don't do anything else in their life. But every person is, yeah, they might be a student of dance, but I bet you they have some kind of skill that you might not even know about, that you might be uh benefiting from as well, or you can learn a lot from it as well too. So um I always ask my students deeper questions of seeing like how can I learn from them, and then it leads me back to how their other skills can progress their dance as well too, because then I understand their mindset better. um Going back to the Montessori teacher, because now I know studying that method, she has a very different thinking than other people, her growing up in that method. So she might be learning dance very differently as well too. Um, one of my other students actually brought me onto the she opened up a door for me into the whole home birthing world. I was actually going when I was pregnant, I was going through the conventional hospital um, world and was going to give birth in a hospital. But then I was 7 months pregnant, and my friend who was also in RER, she was like, "You should just have a home birth." I had a home birth too. Just find a midwife. And she told me about all of it. She broke it down for me, and literally the next day I had a midwife, and I was like, I'm doing a home birth. And so so
Very, very
that
good.
was
Yeah.
a huge inspiration for me, you know. Another one of my students, um he's not necessarily super into nutrition and health and food. However, he introduced me to the first person who started this whole journey for me. So he introduced me to Dr. Sebi. Once he heard the interviews with Dr. Sebi, it was just like bam, 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 bam. And that's a whole world opened up for me, and that's where I started to study it. Another student of mine actually introduced me to Wim Hof, who does ice bath and breathing techniques. So for me, goes back to the discipline, right? All I need
Yeah.
some it's like I just need a little introduction, and it's like somebody just like cracks open the door for me, and I just like
The
rip the
like,
door open,
and yeah.
and I dive into the topic super crazy.
Mm.
So I just love authentic stuff. And I love rebelling against the system. I love breaking the norms. Um, and that goes into like my dance journey. Coming from a small village, nobody could ever think that somebody from such a small village could do dance when dance is not even considered work or career over there, on top of moving to across the world, moving to US, you know.
Yeah.
um with food, I love breaking down the norms of the food, and just coming back to like real food, with the breathing. I dived into a whole set of books about how to breathe, um with the birthing world, just going back like, okay, I don't want to go the hospital way, I just want to get a midwife and do a home birth. So yeah, it's when somebody cracks the door open for me, I rip it. Yeah,
Game
I
over.
die.
um, you've kind of already mentioned multiple of these, but just being super intentional about it. Um, could you name for me like a moment, maybe more specifically with dance, that like that you consider like an intersection? I talk about this a lot in like an ebook that I'm writing, and it's the idea that like on your dance journey, you hit this intersection where life presents you with a choice, and I
Hmm.
can take a left, I can keep going straight, or I can take a right. Like, can you name for me a moment where like you hit an intersection in your life on your dance journey, and because you chose a specific direction, like your life would have been completely different if you didn't take that. Like you mentioned, like home birthing with Maya versus going to a hospital. Right?
Yeah.
That's a big change. That's how your daughter was born. But
Yeah, so the biggest intersection was when I moved to USA, because the reason why I moved to USA was Philip Spieb. He was also known as Man. He's a known American choreographer. He was in the Czech Republic teaching at a street dance camp, and he saw me there battling. And then 2 months later, he came to Czech Republic again for another camp. It was called Hip Hop Meeting, and there he saw me showcasing, and he saw me teaching. And after that, I knew that I was coming to train to Los Angeles for 5 weeks. So it was at the time when I went to LA by myself for 5 weeks to train. I told him like, hey, I will be in LA. Do you teach classes there? I would like to take your classes. And he told me he doesn't teach there, but we can connect. I was like, okay. And that was kind of our conversation, right? Um, and then I went to LA. I didn't have a contact at him because when I was in, this sounds so crazy, but when I was in LA, I actually did not even have a phone. Like I had my computer,
Yeah.
so I knew like how to search, like how to take like a metro or subway or bus to dance studios. I was staying in my hotel. I looked at the map, but I did not have it's so crazy to think in today's world that you just travel across the world without a phone, you know? Um
Like, wait, what?
so I had I had no way of contacting him but through Facebook on my laptop. Anyways, I was doing training here. In the middle of my stay here, one of my teachers from the Czech Republic, he came to LA, also to train, but he was staying somewhere else. Anyways, he had a meeting with Philip and told him Jaja is in LA. She wants to connect with you. And Philip was like, okay, how can I contact her? And my teacher, he was like, well, she doesn't have a phone. You can call her to the hotel. And then he gave,
I
and
love everything
this
about
was this was only what 16 years ago that this is how fast like times are moving, right? So my teacher came back and he was like, hey, Philip is going to call you to the hotel. He wants to connect with you. And I was like, okay, great. But I was like, well, that means I have to like literally sit by the phone in the hotel. So I had another friend here in LA and we took turns by sitting at the phone because for me this was a big opportunity, right? So I was like, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So went to take classes in the morning and I sat by the phone. And then I went to take classes in the afternoon and she was sitting by the phone.
I love everything about this. That's insane.
And it's so crazy to think because now you just send them Instagram, you know? And um we did it for like 4 days and then it was in 3 days we were about to depart LA and we were like, well, I guess he's not gonna call, it's fine, you know. 3 days before we leave, he called to the hotel and I picked up and I talked to him and he wanted to do a video with me. I was like, okay, let's do it. Literally that same day, in like 30 minutes, he picked me up to come practice. So we practiced for the first 2 days, and the last day we were shooting the video all night. We were shooting until like 6 a.m. He took me back to the hotel. We said bye. We didn't give each other any contact or anything like that. I packed my luggages. I didn't sleep. And I needed to go to the airport that day, but my flight wasn't until night. And so I was like, okay, I will just take my luggage and I'm gonna just go walk around the Beverly Hills malls, and I'm just gonna walk and kill time before I have to go to the airport.
Mhm.
Um, so at the time, but if people are wondering, well, yeah, I didn't have a phone. You had cash and you could call a taxi from the hotel, right? So that's how people did it, right?
That Stone Age when we use actual money instead of tapping our
Exactly,
phones.
you know. So I was walking around the Beverly Hills Center, which was like 45 minutes away, and suddenly I meet Philip again. I just meet him in the middle of a mall. And I was like, what? And he was just recording some pickup shots for our video at the mall. But I didn't know he's gonna be there. Nothing. Like, I just didn't know, right? And he was like, hey, I forgot to ask you if you want to join IME crew and we would enter America's president. He was like, I forgot to ask.
I just forgot. Do you want to, join our crew? What the heck?
and and I was like, yes, of course, you know. Later on, he told me that if he didn't meet me at the mall, he would not ask me. He would just be like, I'm gonna find somebody else. Yeah. So I went back home. I was about to I was about to graduate, and I went to my high school and told my teacher like, I'm moving to USA. I'm not gonna graduate anymore. I brought her flowers, and she was like, "What?" um, and 2 months later, I flew to US, and then we practiced for 3 months all day every day. We auditioned for America's Business Crew. We got on the show, and there's like deeper stuff too, where the show actually said that they are not gonna get me a work visa, and Philip has to replace me in the crew. And so I Hasegawa, who is Sean Evaristo's wife right now, she was supposed to be my replacement. And then one day Philip woke up and he was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna tell them we are not entering America's Best Dance Crew without Jaja. And so he told them, and he was like, we are not entering without Jaja. And they were like, okay, and they got me a work visa. And then it all worked out. And we went on the show, we won, and thanks to that, I was able to get a work visa. So that was my intersection. That was my pivotal point. And
Was a roller
in
coaster.
that, from no phone to taxis, meeting Philip, and I forgot to ask you, and yeah, it was just a
That's the
crazy ride.
wildest part. He's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
By the way,
Decision that might change my life, and me not graduating high school and moving to the United States. It's fine.
that's it was that sentence that changed my life. I forgot to ask you.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh,
It's that story is wild. Yeah.
that's insane. That's so. I mean, it also like totally like compiles to make your dance journey make sense. Like the way you think about things and how things just like fell into your lap and like different stuff happening. You're like, okay, this is not the first time. You're like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
I love dance. I want to get good at this thing. Like when the opportunities happen, they happen. So I'm gonna sit by this phone until he calls me, and I guess he's not calling me, and then all of a sudden he calls me, and you're like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
And I guess it was also like, the fact that he saw me battling, teaching, showcasing, and I know even at the time I was just really intentional with everything I was doing. Same thing. I was just focusing on the present moment. I wasn't trying to like be good because somebody would see me and invite me somewhere. I was just
Mm.
doing what I love the best I can do. Um and then even with the phone thing, I wasn't necessarily stressing about it. It's more like, well, if he calls, he calls. If he doesn't, it's just that wasn't meant for me. So that was kind of my mindset about everything. Yeah.
That's
And
crazy.
then
I love it.
yeah.
Um, just I guess to wrap this up, like I guess where can people, I mean, if they know you or they already know you, but like for people who don't know you or follow you, like you post so much stuff that kind of aligns with what we've been talking about. Like training and mindset and like how to like make it your own and develop. Like where would you like people to contact you through or follow you on?
Definitely, I guess the easiest way to contact me would be Instagram, which is at Jaja Vankova. I also have a website, jajavankova.com, which has all of the information about my mentorship. I run my mentorship through Patreon, but it can be found on my website and it can be found on my Instagram as well too. Or if somebody just wants to send me a message and see what are the options for mentoring or classes that I do in person or where I travel to, I usually always also answer all of my messages too. I try to. So yeah, that is the easiest way to contact me. Definitely DM on Instagram.
Perfect. Perfect. I'll make sure I those up like in post. I'll just put them on there. Um, Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, like, so much. Like, we've had
Cool.
like small conversations like this, but this is everything. Everything. So, yeah.
I
Well,
really appreciate
yeah, of course. Have a great day, okay?
you too. Have a good day. Bye.
Like I said, you have no idea what might happen in a dance journey, in your dance journey specifically, right? From the Czech Republic to I just want to get good at this thing called dance. That's it. Whatever happens, happens. And like random stuff like the intersection with Philip Shabib, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And it's like that one sentence changed your whole life. Like your life could change in a sentence today. And it's it's a very fine balance between not caring and just winging it and being intentional about what happens in life. That you don't have to like manufacture or force things to happen, especially in like at least American culture of like, hey, make sure you get it done, that you run the thing and you do the thing and you're on top of the thing at all times. Which 9 times out of 10 isn't even feasible. It's just an aspiration that people fake, you know, instead of saying like, listen, I'm not in control of everything. I'm in control of what I'm doing. So I'm training myself. I'm getting on this live stream. I'm going to rehearsal. I'm going to practice. I'm going to an audition. I'm, getting training in the thing that I love doing. And when things happen that are outside of my control, I respond to them. Not react, but respond. Yes, no, let's try it. What's going on? So it's a great thing to keep in mind for your own dance journey, because my dance journey is completely different from Yaya's. And her dance journey is completely different from yours. And it's it's a context that we can learn from to be like, okay, my life might go in a completely different direction, but my mindset, my journey is going to look a specific way. Anyways, I love it. You can find her at I'm gonna put it in the description below, but you can find her at Jaja Vankova. If you just put in Jaja hip hop dance, like she'll come up, So this is my information down below. You can live chat me on my website, or you can just DM me through my Instagram, or you can also go to my own personal Instagram, which is Joel M Casanova. Just reach out. Wherever you see the logo, that's where I am. And another great thing about Dance Journey is about what training you get that helps you and keeps you in a unique way, right? This talk show exists to keep your dance journey healthy, productive, and 100% yours. So part of that means I have a hip hop musicality class. Okay, so that started this past Monday, went super well. We cover every part of the body. We cover concepts that will help you in hip hop, as well as specific movements that you can incorporate into your movement vocabulary, right? So that you can listen to the music. I have a program, I use GarageBand or use Logic to separate different notes out from different chunks out from the music, so you can like zero in and use your ear to apply the musicality. So it's kind of an all-encompassing class for whatever it is that you want to use it for. If you are a hip-hop dancer, training is great. If you want to get better at hip-hop dancing, awesome. If you want to perform or compete, awesome, right? No matter what age or skill you're at, it's going to help you, right? And it's super fun. So yeah, the information is going to come up at the end of the live stream. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you Monday.